Christmas, one and all. Merry Christmas. Welcome to Con's Corner with me, John Voth. I read Harry Potter every single day for an hour. We started in the quarantine, and we just kept on going. We kept on going. Apparently people heard my warm-up when my mic was off. So then you heard what I do. I do this weird thing where I stick out my tongue and go, and so on and so forth. It just warms everything up. I do the different voices. I go through them all so that I can give you the strongest entertainment value possible. You can see my dog Dexter up there. He's sleeping. Mark was a gentleman, a scholar, and an orator. He had joined since the very beginning of the Reads. He's now moving to Toronto. He's on his way tomorrow morning. So yesterday was the last time he's joining in. I'm also going to be moving in this next week slowly back and forth. So everything is going to change. I might need a couple of days off to set everything up. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to be moving. I swear he does it on purpose. What? My announcer voice is on. What the heck? No, it isn't. What is going on? Does it sound different? There's an echo. I don't know why there's an echo happening. Is there actually an echo? Echo? Has it changed now? Echo gone? I have no idea what's going on. Super echo? What is going on? Wait, let me just try and change one thing. Because I have no idea why. This has never happened before. It's better. Okay, great. Okay, then I won't change anything. I'm just gonna keep on going. All right. I just hit the off button on the mic, and it says that it's off, and it's normal for you. Weird. Anyway, okay. What else? That's pretty much it. We can get right back into the reading. Gonna draw on Lois. Not only did she bring these delicious cupcakes yesterday, she brought me some scented sketch markers because apparently my scar wasn't doing it anymore. So here we go. Oh man, which one am I gonna pick? Well, I think it has to be red, right? So I'm gonna be putting cherry on my face for a little while. Maybe I'll change the colors up every once in a while. Here we go. Ah, it hurts so much! Ow! Ah! Okay, there we go. It's drawn on. And we will start the read. There's a few second delay between what John says and when we see it. Really? Okay, well, I don't know how to fix this right now. So it'll just be weird today. That's life. We gotta deal with life sometimes. No, I'm using the regular microphone. Everything's normal. I haven't changed one thing. But is this doable? Oh, it's always been a delay. No delay here. Okay, good. Okay, what happened last time? Oh, right. Dumbledore, he went all badass on everybody. He he just said, no, you're not taking me. I'm going to hurt you if you do. And he did hurt people, but he was totally justified in this. Okay, so I'm going to go just a tad little back until the smoke clears again and going to restart this music so that we see this end of the chapter. Oh man, that was so cool. That was the coolest ever. That's why Dumbledore, Hagrid, and Hermione are my favorites. Dumbledore is just the best. He is the best. Okay. Panting slightly, Harry saw a very tall figure moving towards them. Are you all right? Dumbledore asked. Yes, said Professor McGonagall, getting up and dragging Harry and Marietta with her. The dust was clearing. The wreckage of the office loomed into view. Dumbledore's desk had been overturned. All of the spindly tables had been knocked to the floor, their silver instruments in pieces. Fudge, Umbridge, Kingsley, and Dawlish lay... Oh yeah, Dawlish is that new guy, right? Yeah. Lay motionless on the floor.
Fawkes the Phoenix soared in wide circles above them, singing softly, "We've killed everybody, everybody is dead. They're lying on the floor, never to be revived. We've killed everybody, I am a bird, I'm a bird, I'm a bird, I'm a bird." That's Fawkes' song.
Unfortunately, I had to hex Kingsley too, or it would have looked very suspicious,
said Dumbledore in a low voice.
He was remarkably quick on the uptake, modifying Miss Edgecombe's memory like that while everyone was looking the other way. Thank him for me, won't you, Minerva?
By the way, I have something from Mark that I'm going to show you at the end of this chapter. I just wanted to get through this first. I just remembered I got to show you something. Who's saying this?
No, they will all wake very soon, and it will be best if they do not know that we had time to communicate. You must act as though no time has passed, as though they merely knocked to the ground. They will not remember.
"Where will you go, Dumbledore?" whispered Professor McGonagall. "Grimmauld Place?"
"Oh, no,"
said Dumbledore with a grim smile.
"I am not leaving to go into hiding. Fudge will soon wish he'd never dislodged me from Hogwarts. I promise you."
"Professor Dumbledore," Harry began. He did not know what to say first. How sorry he was that he had started the DA in the first place, and caused all this trouble. Or how terrible he felt that Dumbledore was leaving to save him from expulsion. But Dumbledore cut him off before he could say another word.
"Listen to me, Harry,"
he said urgently.
"You must study occlumency as hard as you can. Do you understand me? Do everything Professor Snape tells you, and practice it particularly every night before sleeping, so that you can close your mind to bad dreams. You will understand why soon enough, but you must promise me."
The man called Dawlish was stirring. Dumbledore seized Harry's wrist.
"Remember, close your mind."
But as Dumbledore's fingers closed over Harry's skin, a pain shot through the scar on his forehead, and he felt again that terrible, snake-like longing to strike Dumbledore, to bite him, to hurt him.
"You will understand,"
whispered Dumbledore. Fawkes circled the office and swooped low over him. Dumbledore released Harry, raised his hand, and grasped the Phoenix's long golden tail. There was a flash of light, a fire, and the pair of them were gone.
"Where is he?"
yelled Fudge, pushing himself up from the floor.
"Where is he?"
"I don't know," shouted Kingsley, also leaping to his feet.
"Well, you can't have disappeared,"
cried Umbridge.
You can't do it from inside the school."
Okay, Dawlish is shouting something. I don't know his voice yet.
"The stairs!"
cried Dawlish, and he flung himself upon the door, wrenched it open, and disappeared. Followed closely by Kingsley and Umbridge, Fudge hesitated, then got slowly to his feet, brushing dust from his front. There was a long and painful silence.
"Well, Minerva,"
said Fudge nastily, straightening his torn shirt sleeve,
"I'm afraid this is the end of your friend Dumbledore."
"You think so, do you?" said Professor McGonagall scornfully. Fudge seemed not to hear. He was looking around at the wrecked office. A few of the portraits hissed at him. One or two even made rude hand gestures.
You'd better get those two off to bed,"
said Fudge, looking back at Professor McGonagall with a dismissive nod towards Harry and Marietta. Professor McGonagall said nothing, but marched Harry and Marietta to the door. As it swung closed behind them, Harry heard Phineas Nigellus's voice. Oh, what was his voice again? Oh yeah, it was that kind of drunken guy, I think.
"You know, Minister, I disagree with Dumbledore."
No, that's Rita, isn't it? What was Phineas? Oh, I forgot Phineas's voice.
You know, Minister, I disagree with Dumbledore on many accounts, but you cannot deny he's got style.
That song is canon. Yeah, you know it is. You know that song is canon. Yes, the boo from Mark is what I have prepared. So, me and Mark, we spent a little time recording today, and this, voila, is the boo.
Boo! Go on, get out of here!
Just one more time. I don't know if you caught it at the end there. Just let's go. Umbridge, more like Dumbridge. I feel like I'm gonna add more of these little things, the little fun things about it. But that's how we're gonna keep Mark's memory alive here. He's still gonna be part of the stream. There we go. Chapter 28. Snape's worst memory. Oh boy, I can't wait for this. Sweet. Snape's worst memory. I wonder what it's gonna be. Okay, let's go. By order of the Ministry of... Oh, wait. This is now... Cornelius Oswald Fudge has written this.
By order of the Ministry of Magic, Dolores Jade Umbridge, High Inquisitor, has replaced Albus Dumbledore as head of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
What? No! No! Man, what? She is now head of Hogwarts School? This is so sucky.
The above is in accordance with Educational Decree number 28, signed Cornelius Oswald Fudge, Minister for Magic.
This sucks. This sucks. Mark! Yo, Mark's in the chat. Awesome. The notices had gone up all around the school overnight, but they did not explain how every single person within the castle seemed to know that Dumbledore had overcome 2 Aurors, the High Inquisitor, the Minister for Magic, and his junior assistant to escape. No matter where Harry went within the castle, the sole topic of conversation was Dumbledore's flight. And though some of the details may have gone awry in the retelling, Harry overheard one second-year girl assuring another that Fudge was now lying in St. Mungo's with a pumpkin for a head. It was surprising how accurate the rest of their information was. Everybody knew, for instance, that Harry and Marietta were the only students to have witnessed the scene in Dumbledore's office. And, as Marietta was now in the hospital wing, Harry found himself besieged with requests to give a first-hand account. What is going on with John's computer? There's still an echo? Listen, everybody, I don't know what's happening today. Something happened. Maybe it's because me and Mark were playing around with recordings before. And it did something to the mic. That could probably be it. It'll be gone by tomorrow. So calm down, everybody, okay? Just calm the heck down. Ernie McMillan. Oh yeah, where's Ernie again? Ernie. Oh wait, McMillan. Is that the young kid? Yeah, it's that young kid. Right. Dumbledore will be back before long, said Ernie Macmillan confidently on the way back from herbology after listening intently to Harry's story. They couldn't keep him away in their second year, and they won't be able to this time. The fat friar told me. He dropped his voice conspiratorially. Oh, I nailed that on the first go of that word. That was a hard word. So that Harry, Ron, and Hermione had to lean closer to him to hear. That Umbridge tried to get back into his office last night after they searched the castle and grounds for him. Couldn't get past the gargoyle. The head's office had sealed itself against her. And Ernie smirked. Apparently, she had a right little tantrum. Oh, that's Colin Creevy. My bad. Oh, yes. Pompous. Yeah, okay. The Creevy's the young annoying brother. I thought it was the Creevy. No, right. Ernie was that pompous guy. We need Mark back. Oh, I expect she really fancied herself sitting up there in the head's office, said Hermione viciously, as they walked up the stone steps into the entrance hall. Lording it all over the other teachers. The stupid, puffed-up, power-crazy old... Now, do you really want to finish that sentence, Granger? Draco Malfoy had slid out from behind the door, closely followed by Crabbe and Goyle. His pale, pointed face was alight with malice. Afraid I'm going to have to dock a few points from Gryffindor and Hufflepuff, he drawled. What? Oh. It's only teachers who can dock points from houses, Malfoy, said Ernie at once. Yeah, we're prefects too, remember? Snarled Roy. Ron's now Roy. I know prefects can dock points, Weasel King, sneered Malfoy. Crabbe and Goyle sniggered. Oh! But members of the Inquisitor Squad... The what? Said Hermione sharply. The Inquisitorial Squad, Granger, said Malfoy, pointing towards a tiny silver eye on his robes just beneath his prefect's badge. Oh my gosh, really? They've got, like, police in the school now? Ernie isn't pompous but a good dude overall. Roy's face is always confused. Man, they got a police squad now for Umbridge? Ugh, man. Police City here. Man, oh man. A select group of students who are supportive of the Ministry of Magic, handpicked by Professor Umbridge. Anyway, members of the Inquisitorial Squad do have the power to dock points. So, Granger, I'll have 5 from you for being rude about our new headmistress. Macmillan, 5 for contradicting me. 5 because I don't like you, Potter. Weasley, your shirt's untucked, so I'll have another 5 for that. Oh yeah, I forgot. You're a mudblood, Granger, so 10 off for that. What a little douche! Ron pulled out his wand, but Hermione pushed it away, whispering, "Don't!" Wise move, Granger, breathed Malfoy. New head, new times. Be good now, Potty, Weasel King, laughing heartily. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! He strode away with Crabbe and Goyle. Oh, yeah. He was bluffing, said Ernie, looking appalled. He can't be allowed to dock points. That would be ridiculous. It would completely undermine the prefect system. But Harry, Ron, and Hermione had turned automatically towards the giant hourglass set in niches along the wall behind them, which recorded the house points. Gryffindor and Ravenclaw had been neck and neck in the lead that morning. Even as they watched, stones flew upwards, reducing the amounts in the lower bulbs. In fact, the only glass that seemed unchanged was the emerald-filled one of Slytherin. Man, that sucks. When you think Umbridge can't get worse, she gets yet more horrible. Yeah, that's true. Ugh. I feel like fighting shouldn't be against the rules in case of racial slurs, but that's just me. Yeah. Noticed, have you? Said Fred's voice. He and George had just come down the marble staircase and joined Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ernie in front of the hourglasses. Malfoy just docked us all about 50 points, said Harry furiously, as they watched several more stones fly upwards from the Gryffindor hourglass. Yeah, Montague tried to do us during break, said George. What do you mean? Tried, said Roy quickly. People are going to hate it if I start calling him Roy. He never managed to get all the words out, said Fred, due to the fact that we forced him head first into that vanishing cabinet on the first floor. Hermione looked very shocked. But you'll get into terrible trouble. Not until Montague reappears, and that could take weeks. I don't know where we sent him, said Fred coolly. Anyway, we've decided we don't care about getting into trouble anymore. Have you ever? Asked Hermione. Of course we have, said George. Never been expelled, have we? We've always known where to draw the line, said Fred. We might have put a toe across it occasionally, said George. But we've always stopped short of causing real mayhem, said Fred. But now? Said Ron tentatively. Well, now, said George. What with Dumbledore gone, said Fred. We reckon a bit of mayhem, said George, is exactly what our dear new head deserves, said Fred. You mustn't, whispered Hermione. You really mustn't. She'd love a reason to expel you. You don't get it, Hermione, do you? Said Fred, smiling at her. We don't care about staying anymore. We'd walk out right now if we weren't determined to do our bit for Dumbledore first. So, anyway, he checked his watch. Phase 1 is about to begin. I'd get in the Great Hall for lunch if I were you. That way the teachers will see you can't have had anything to do with it. Anything to do with what? Said Hermione anxiously. You'll see, said George. Run along now. Oh, they're so cool. Love that. Love that. That's awesome. I would so join the DA. These guys are pretty cool. I like this. They don't care. They just realize how corrupt the system is. And we're like, okay, let's just start some trouble. Fred and George turned away and disappeared into the swelling crowd, descending the stairs toward lunch. Looking highly disconcerted, Ernie muttered something about unfinished Transfiguration homework and scurried away. I think we should get out of here, said Hermione nervously. Just in case. Yeah, all right, said Ron, and the three of them moved towards the door to the great hall. But Harry had barely glimpsed the day's ceiling of scudding white clouds when somebody tapped him on the shoulder, and, turning, he found himself almost nose-to-nose with Filch the caretaker. He took several hasty steps backwards. Filch was best viewed at a distance.
The headmistress would like to see you, Potter.
He leered. That's his leering. That's all his leering happening. I didn't do it, said Harry stupidly, thinking of whatever Fred and George were planning. Filch's jowls wobbled with silent laughter.
Guilty conscience, eh?
He wheezed.
Follow me.
Harry glanced back at Ron and Hermione, who were both looking worried. He shrugged and followed Filch back into the entrance hall against the tide of hungry students. Filch seemed to be in an extremely good mood. He hummed creakily under his breath as they climbed the marble staircase.
I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. Life is plastic. It's fantastic. You can touch my hair and dress me everywhere.
As they reached the first landing, he said,
Things are changing around here, Potter.
I've noticed, said Harry coldly. He loves that song.
Yes, I've been telling Dumbledore for years, and yes, he's too soft with you all,
said Filch, chuckling nastily.
You filthy little beasts would never have dropped stink pellets if you'd known I had it in my power to whip you raw. Would you now? Nobody would have thought of throwing fanched frisbees down the corridors if I could have strung you up by the ankles in my office, would they? But when Educational Decree number 29 comes in, Potter, I'll be allowed to do them things. And she's asked the minister to sign an order for the expulsion of Peeves. Oh, things are going to be very different around here with her in charge.
Whew, that actually hurt my mouth a little bit. Not my throat, but my mouth. Let's go party.
Come on, Norris, let's go party. Meow,
meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow, meow.
Okay. Umbridge had obviously gone to some lengths to get Filch on her side, Harry thought, and the worst of it was that he would probably prove an important weapon. His knowledge of the school's secret passageways and hiding places was probably second only to that of the Weasley twins.
Here we are,
he said, leering down at Harry as he rapped 3 times on Professor Umbridge's door and pushed it open.
The Potter boy to see you, man.
I much prefer a meow version. Okay, I'm going to change the lights to Umbridge's office. Where were we here? Yeah, there we go. Don't mess with Peeves. Umbridge's office, so very familiar to Harry from his many detentions, was the same as usual, except for the large wooden block lying across the front of her desk, on which golden letters spelled the word Headmistress. Also, his firebolt and Fred and George's clean sweeps, which he saw with a pang were chained and padlocked to a stout iron peg in the wall behind the desk. Umbridge... The worst. Love. Just the worst. Was sitting behind the desk, busily scribbling on some of her pink parchment, but she looked up and smiled widely at their entrance.
Thank you, Argus,
she said sweetly.
Not at all, ma'am. Not at all,
said Filch, bowing as low to his rheumatism would permit. I love that line. And exiting backwards.
Sit,
said Umbridge curtly, pointing towards a chair. Harry sat. She continued to scribble for a few moments. He watched some of the foul kittens gambolling around the plates over her head, wondering what fresh horror she had in store for him.
Well now,
she said finally, setting down her quill and surveying him complacently, like a toad about to swallow a particularly juicy fly.
What would you like to drink?
Don't take a drink from her. Nuh-uh. No way. What? Said Harry, quite sure he had misheard her.
To drink, Mr. Potter,
she said. Oh, let's put it a bit closer so I can actually read this.
To drink, Mr. Potter,
she said, smiling still more wildly.
Tea, coffee, pumpkin juice.
As she named each drink, she gave her short wand a wave, and a cup or glass of each appeared on her desk. Nothing, thank you, said Harry.
I wish you to have a drink with me,
she said, her voice becoming dangerously sweet.
Choose one.
Fine, tea then, said Harry, shrugging. She got up and made quite a performance of adding milk with her back to him. She then bustled around the desk with it, smiling in a sinisterly sweet fashion.
There,
she said, handing it to him.
Drink it before it gets cold, won't you? Well now, Mr. Potter, I thought we ought to have a little chat after the distressing events of last night.
He said nothing. She settled herself back into her seat and waited. When several long moments had passed in silence, she said gaily,
You're not drinking up.
She raised the cup to his lips and then just as suddenly lowered it. One of the horrible painted kittens behind Umbridge had great round blue eyes, just like Mad-Eye Moody's magical one. And it had just occurred to Harry what Mad-Eye would say if he ever heard that Harry had drunk anything offered by a known enemy.
What's the matter?
Said Umbridge, who was still watching him closely.
Do you want sugar?
No, said Harry. He raised the cup to his lips again and pretended to take a sip, though keeping his mouth tightly closed. Umbridge's smile widened.
Good,
she whispered.
Very good.
Now then, she leaned forwards a little.
Where is Albus Dumbledore?
No idea, said Harry promptly.
Drink up, she
said, still smiling.
Now, Mr. Potter, let us not play childish games. I know that you know where he has gone. You and Dumbledore have been in this together from the beginning. Consider your position, Mr. Potter.
I don't know where he is, Harry repeated. He pretended to drink again. She was watching him very closely. Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me? Roy would hate this. It's crazy. Umbridge gives me a sinking feeling in my stomach. Yeah, she's the worst.
Very well,
she said, though she looked displeased.
In that case, you will kindly tell me the whereabouts of Sirius Black.
Harry's stomach turned over and his hand holding the teacup shook so that it rattled in its saucer. He tilted the cup to his mouth with his lips pressed together so that some of the hot liquid trickled down onto his robes. So basically, I don't know, he said, a little too quickly.
Mr. Potter, said Umbridge, let me remind you
that it was I who almost caught the criminal Black in the Gryffindor fire in October. I know perfectly well it was you he was meeting, and if I had had any proof, neither of you would be at large today. I promise you. I repeat, Mr. Potter, where is Sirius Black?
She gets so... I think she just like... Her when she gets serious, it just gets super intense. Her smiles and everything. Oh, gosh. No idea, said Harry loudly. Haven't got a clue. They stared at each other for so long that Harry felt his eyes watering. Then Umbridge stood up.
Very well, Potter. I will take your word for it this time, but be warned. The might of the Ministry stands behind me. All channels of communication in and out of this school are being monitored. A Flu Network regulator is keeping watch over every fire in Hogwarts, except my own, of course. My inquisitorial squad is opening and reading all outposts entering and leaving the castle, and Mr. Filch is observing all secret passages in and out of the castle. If I find a shred of evidence...
Boom! The very floor of the office shook. Umbridge slipped sideways, clutching her desk for support, and looked shocked.
What was...
I guess I'll put in some intense music here. Umbridge is getting serious, okay. The very floor of the office shook. Umbridge slipped... What was, yeah. She was gazing towards the door. Harry took the opportunity to empty his almost full cup of tea into the nearest vase? I forget that word. Of dried flowers. Good move. He could hear people running and screaming several floors below.
Back to lunch you go, Potter!
Cried Umbridge, raising her wand and dashing out of the office. Actually, no, I know it's just Fred and George's thing, so it's not too intense. Well, I'm assuming it's not going to be anything dangerous. Harry gave her a few seconds' start, then hurried off after her to see what the source of all the uproar was. Hey there, curtains. What's going on back there? It was not difficult to find. One floor down, pandemonium reigned. Somebody, and Harry had a very shrewd idea who, had set off what seemed to be an enormous crate of enchanted fireworks. That's cool. Good job, Fred and George. Good job. Dragons comprised entirely of green and gold sparks were soaring up and down the corridors, emitting loud fiery blasts and bangs as they went. Shocking pink Catherine wheels, 5 feet in diameter, were whizzing lethally around through the air like so many flying saucers. Rockets with long tails of brilliant silver stars were ricocheting off the walls. Sparklers were writing swear words in midair of their own accord. Firecrackers were exploding like mines everywhere Harry looked, and instead of burning themselves out, fading from sight, or fizzling to a halt, these pyrotechnical miracles seemed to be gaining in energy and momentum the longer they watched. Fred and George indeed. Yeah, fun music. I don't have fun music. Okay, I gotta find some for next time. Gotta find some of that fun music. Meow, 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 meow. Filch and Umbridge were standing, apparently transfixed in horror, halfway down the stairs. As Harry watched, one of the larger Catherine wheels seemed to decide that what it needed was more room to maneuver. It whirled towards Umbridge and Filch with a sinister whee! They both yelled with fright and ducked, and it soared straight out of the window behind them and off across the grounds. Meanwhile, several of the dragons and a large purple bat that was smoking ominously. What? The bat was... Okay, I get it. The firework was smoking, but this just seems like there's this large purple bat who's like, I do not care what is happening here. Yes, you go explode over there, what I will just hang upside down on the ceiling. That was smoking ominously took advantage of the open door at the end of the corridor to escape towards the second floor.
Hurry, Filch, hurry! Shrieked Umbridge. They'll be all over school unless we do something. Stupefy!
The bat is French because it was smoking. I don't know, it's that cliche, right? Yeah, I gotta find some fun music. Right, I do. Got my wand. Got the lights? No, all I need is some fun music.
Right you are, headmistress,
Wheezed Filch, who as a squib could no more have stunned the fireworks than swallowed them. He dashed to a nearby cupboard, pulled out a broom, and began swatting at the fireworks in midair. Within seconds, the head of the broom was ablaze. Harry had seen enough. Laughing, he ducked down low, ran to a door he knew was concealed behind a tapestry a little way along the corridor, and slipped through it to find Fred and George hiding just behind it, listening to Umbridge and Filch's yells and quaking with suppressed mirth. Impressive, Harry said quietly, grinning. Very impressive. You'll put Dr. Filibuster out of business, no problem. Cheers, whispered George, wiping tears of laughter from his face. Oh, I hope she tries vanishing them next. They multiply by 10 every time you try. The fireworks continued to burn and to spread all over the school that afternoon. Though they caused plenty of disruption, particularly the firecrackers, the other teachers didn't seem to mind them very much. Dear, dear, said Professor McGonagall sardonically, as one of the dragons soared around her classroom, emitting loud bangs and exhaling flame. Miss Brown, would you mind running along to the headmistress and informing her that we have an escaped firework in our classroom? The upshot of it all was that Professor Umbridge spent her first afternoon as headmistress, running all over the school, answering the summonses. That's a multiple summonses of the other teachers. Oh well. None of whom seemed able to rid their rooms of the fireworks without her. When the final bell rang and they were heading back to Gryffindor Tower with their bags, Harry saw, with immense satisfaction, a disheveled and soot-blackened Umbridge tottering sweaty-faced from Professor Flitwick's classroom. That's awesome. I think that was Russian. Fred and George are really smart to be able to do this. Seems like Hermione level stuff. Yeah, true. Who's saying? Oh, Flitwick.
Thank you so much, Professor,
said Professor Flitwick in his squeaky little voice.
I could have got rid of the sparkles myself, of course, but I wasn't sure whether or not I had the authority.
Beaming, he closed his classroom door in her snarling face. Ah, hell yeah! Flitwick for the win! Beaming, he closed his classroom door in her snarling face. Fred and George were heroes that night in the Gryffindor common room. Even Hermione fought her way through the excited crowd to congratulate them. They were wonderful fireworks, she said admiringly. Thanks, said George, looking both surprised and pleased. Weasley's wildfire whiz-bangs. Only thing is, we used our whole stock. We're going to have to start again from scratch now. It was worth it, though, said Fred, who was taking orders from clamouring Gryffindors. If you want to add your name to the waiting list, Hermione, it's 5 galleons for your basic blaze box and 20 for the deflagration deluxe. Hermione returned to the table where Harry and Ron were sitting, staring at their school bags as though hoping their homework would spring out and start doing itself. Oh, why didn't we have the night off? Said Hermione brightly, as a silver-tailed Weasley rocket zoomed past the window. After all, the Easter holidays start on Friday. We'll have plenty of time then. Flitwick! Are you feeling all right? Ron asked, staring at her in disbelief. Now you mention it, said Hermione happily. Do you know, I think I'm feeling a bit rebellious. What? Harry could still hear the distant bangs of escaped firecrackers when he and Ron went up to bed an hour later. And as he got undressed, a sparkler floated past the tower and shot right into his crotch. It lit everything aflame. He's just taking his pants off. A sparkler floated past the tower, still resolutely spelling out the word poo. That's good too. He got into bed, yawning. With his glasses off, the occasional firework passing the window had become blurred, looking like sparkling clouds, beautiful and mysterious against the black sky. He turned onto his side, wondering how Umbridge was feeling about her first day in Dumbledore's job, and how Fudge would react when he heard that the school had spent most of the day in a state of advanced disruption. Smiling to himself, Harry closed his eyes. The whizzes and bangs of escaped fireworks in the ground seemed to be growing more distant, or perhaps he was simply speeding away from them. He had fallen right into the corridor leading to the Department of Mysteries. He was speeding towards the plain black door.
Let it open. Let it open.
What's up, Dex? You getting scared at this part? That's what's happening? Oh, let me just fix this so I can see him. Oh, I guess not. I guess I ruined it all. Whatever. Okay. It did. The door opened. He was inside the circular room lined with doors. He crossed it, placed his hand on an identical door, and it swung inwards. Now he was in a long rectangular room full of an odd mechanical clicking. There were dancing flecks of light on the walls, but he did not pause to investigate. He had to go on. Oh, white poo! Well, I did miss it. It won't fit right now. There was a door at the far end. It, too, opened at his touch. And now he was in a dimly lit room as high and wide as a church, full of nothing but rows and rows of towering shelves, each laden with small, dusty spun glass spheres. Now Harry's heart was beating fast with excitement. He knew where to go. He ran forwards, but his footsteps made no noise in the enormous deserted room. There was something in this room he wanted very, very much. Something he wanted. Or somebody else wanted. His scar was hurting. Bang! Harry awoke instantly, confused and angry. The dark dormitory was full of the sound of laughter. Cool! Said Seamus, who was silhouetted against the window. I think one of those Catherine wheels hit a rocket, and it's like they mated. Come and see. They screwed up his voice a little bit there. Harry heard Ron and Dean scramble out of the bed for a better look. He lay quite still and silent while the pain in his scar subsided and disappointment washed over him. He felt as though a wonderful treat had been snatched from him at the very last moment. He had got so close that time. Glittering pink and silver-winged piglets were now soaring past the windows of Gryffindor Tower. Harry lay and listened to the appreciative whoops of Gryffindors in the dormitories below them. His stomach gave a sickening jolt as he remembered that he had occlumency the following evening. Yikes. Oh, sorry, 1 second. To fix one quick thing here. My bad. There's just a problem. Yeah, apparently today my computer is having problems. And I apparently am too. Okay, 1 sec here. Okay, well, it's not working. Whatever, I'm going to keep on going. John, at this point in the story, what do you think these dreams are about? Well, they're representative of Voldemort's desires and attempts to get into this space to use this weapon somehow. That's what they're representative of. So I think it's Voldemort's attempts to be outside his body somehow and get into this space, and Harry's feeling this intense desire and intense attempt at the same time. That's what I think. He is the real toy. It's not your fault Mark left and your computer is sad and out of sorts. Yeah, that's true. Harry spent the whole of the next day dreading what Snape was going to say if he found out how much further into the department of mysteries Harry had penetrated during his last dream. With a surge of guilt, he realized that he had not practiced occlumency once since their last lesson. Yeah, there you go. There had been too much going on since Dumbledore had left. He was sure he would not have been able to empty his mind, even if he had tried. He doubted, however, whether Snape would accept that excuse. He attempted a little last-minute practice during classes that day, but it was no good. Hermione kept asking him what was wrong whenever he fell silent, trying to rid himself of all thought and emotion. After all, The best moment to empty his brain was not while teachers were firing revision questions at the class. Resigned to the worst, he set off for Snape's office after dinner. Halfway across the entrance hall, however, Cho came hurrying up to him. Here we go. Over here, said Harry, glad of a reason to postpone his meeting with Snape, and beckoning her across to the corner of the entrance hall where the giant hourglass stood. Gryffindor's was now almost empty. Are you okay? Umbridge hasn't been asking you about the DA, has she? Oh, no, said Cho hurriedly. No, it was only, well, I just wanted to say, Harry, I never dreamed Marietta would tell. Yeah, well, said Harry, moodily. He did feel Cho might have chosen her friends a bit more carefully. It was small consolation that the last he had heard, Marietta was still up in the hospital wing, and Madame Pomfrey had not been able to make the slightest improvement to her pimples. She's a lovely person, really, said Cho. She just made a mistake. Harry looked at her incredulously. A lovely person who made a mistake. She sold us, he's saying this. A lovely person who made a mistake. She sold us all out, including you. Well, we all got away, didn't we? Said Cho pleadingly. You know, her mum works for the ministry. It's really difficult for her. Ron's dad works for the ministry too, Harry said furiously. And in case you hadn't noticed, he hasn't got sneak written across his face. That was a really horrible trick of Hermione Granger's, said Cho fiercely. She should have told us she jinxed that list. I think it was a brilliant idea, said Harry coldly. Cho flushed and her eyes grew brighter. Oh yes, I forgot. Of course. If it was darling Hermione's idea. Don't start crying again, said Harry warningly. I wasn't going to, she shouted. Trouble in paradise. Yeah, well, good, he said. Got enough to cope with at the moment. Go and cope with it then, Cho said furiously, turning on her heel and stalking off. Well, that went awry, didn't it? That went awry. Nathan is asking, John, what did you think Fred and George meant by making a firework that said poo? It probably is, they just read it their own way. It probably just meant, oop. You made a mistake, Umbridge. Oop. And, oop. I'll be down with Ron being called Roy. GC as per usual. Okay. Fuming! Harry descended the stairs to Snape's dungeon, and though he knew from experience how much easier it would be for Snape to penetrate his mind if he arrived angry and resentful, he succeeded in nothing but thinking of a few more things he should have said to Cho about Marietta before reaching the dungeon door. You're late, Potter, said Snape coldly, as Harry closed the door behind him. Snape was standing with his back to Harry, removing, as usual, certain of his thoughts, and placing them carefully in Dumbledore's pensieve. He dropped the last silvery strand into the stone basin and turned to face Harry. So, he said, have you been practicing? Yes, Harry lied, looking carefully at one of the legs of Snape's desk. Well, we'll soon find out, won't we? Said Snape smoothly. Wand out, Potter. Harry moved into his usual position, facing Snape with the desk between them. His heart was pumping, fast with anger at Cho and anxiety about how much Snape was about to extract from his mind. On the count of 3, then, said Snape lazily. 1, 2... Snape's office door banged open, and Draco Malfoy sped in. Professor Snape, sir! Oh, sorry. Malfoy was looking at Snape and Harry in some surprise. It's all right, Draco, said Snape, lowering his wand. Potter is here for little remedial potions. Harry had not seen Malfoy look so gleeful since Umbridge had turned up to inspect Hagrid. I didn't know, he said, leering at Harry, who knew his face was burning. He would have given a great deal to be able to shout the truth at Malfoy, or, even better, to hit him with a good curse. Well, Draco, what is it? Asked Snape. It's Professor Umbridge, sir. She needs your help, said Malfoy. They found Montague, sir. He's turned up jammed inside a toilet on the 4th floor. How did he get in there? Demanded Snape. I don't know, sir. He's a bit confused. Very well. Very well. Potter, said Snape, we shall resume this lesson tomorrow evening. He turned and swept from his office. Malfoy mouthed, remedial potions at Harry behind Snape's back before following him. Malfoy doesn't have to knock. Yeah, I guess so. Shiragel. Did Shiragel have an idea? Nathan, you should join John for Conk's Corner and then do a very special after show of Conk's Corner's Corner. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, Nathan has made a podcast called Conk's Corner's Coroner, where he explores the deaths in the Harry Potter universe. You can check it out on the Discord that we have up. It's pretty fun. What time is it? Okay, I'm going to keep going a little bit, but I'm ending on time tonight. Seething, Harry replaced his wand inside his robes and made to leave the room. At least he had 24 more hours in which to practice. He knew he ought to feel grateful for the narrow escape, though it was hard that it came at the expense of Malfoy telling the whole school that he needed remedial potions. He was at the office door when he saw it, a patch of shivering light dancing on the door frame. He stopped and stood looking at it, reminded of something. Then he remembered. It was a little like the lights he had seen in his dream last night. The lights on the second room he had walked through on his journey through the Department of Mysteries. He turned around. The light was coming from the pensieve sitting on Snape's desk. The silver-white contents were ebbing and swirling within. Snape's thoughts. Things he did not want Harry to see if he broke through Snape's defenses accidentally. Harry gazed at the pensieve, curiosity welling inside him. What was it that Snape was so keen to hide from Harry? The silvery light shivered on the wall. Harry took 2 steps towards the desk, thinking hard. Could it possibly be information about the Department of Mysteries that Snape was determined to keep away from him? Harry looked over his shoulder, his heart now pumping harder and faster than ever. How long would it take Snape to release Montague from the toilet? Would he come straight back to his office afterwards, or accompany Montague to the hospital wing? Surely the latter. Montague was captain of the Slytherin Quidditch team. Snape would want to make sure he was all right. Harry walked the remaining few feet to the pensieve and stood over it, gazing into its depths. He hesitated, listening, then pulled out his wand again. The office and the corridor beyond were completely silent. He gave the contents of the pensieve a small prod with the end of his wand. The silvery stuff within began to swirl very fast. Harry leaned forwards over it and saw that it had become transparent. He was once again looking down into a room as through a circular window in the ceiling. This is exciting. In fact, unless he was much mistaken, he was looking down into the great hall. His breath was actually fogging the surface of Snape's thoughts. His brain seemed to be in limbo. It would be insane to do the thing he was strongly tempted to do. He was trembling. Snape could be back at any moment. But Harry thought of Cho's anger, of Malfoy's jeering face, and a reckless daring seized him. He took a great gulp of breath and plunged his face into the surface of Snape's thoughts. At once, the floor of the office lurched, tipping Harry headfirst into the pensieve. He was falling through cold blackness, spinning furiously as he went, and then he was standing in the middle of the great hall, but the four house tables were gone. Instead, there were more than 100 smaller tables, all facing the same way, at each of which sat a student, heads bent low, scribbling on a roll of parchment. The only sound was the scratching of quills and the occasional rustle as somebody adjusted their parchment. It was clearly exam time. 1 second. Okay, there we go. A toilet, we missed it again. Where did we miss the toilet? I don't know. Sunshine was streaming through the high windows onto the bent heads, which shone chestnut and copper and gold in the bright light. Harry looked around carefully. Snape had to be here somewhere. This was his memory. And there he was, at a table right behind Harry. Harry stared. Snape the teenager had a stringy, pallid look about him, like a plant kept in the dark. His hair was lank and greasy and was flopping onto the table, his hooked nose barely half an inch from the surface of the parchment as he scribbled. Harry moved around behind Snape and read the heading of the examination paper. Defense against the Dark Arts. Ordinary wizarding level. So Snape had to be 15 or 16, around Harry's own age. His hand was flying across the parchment. He had written at least a foot more than his closest neighbors, and yet his writing was minuscule and cramped. 5 more minutes! The voice made Harry jump. Turning, he saw the top of Professor Flitwick's head move between the desks a short distance away. Professor Flitwick was walking past a boy with untidy black hair. Very untidy black hair. Harry moved so quickly that, had he been solid, he would have knocked desks flying. Instead, he seemed to slide, dreamlike, across 2 aisles and up a third. The back of the black-haired boy's head drew nearer, and he was straightening up now, putting down his quill, pulling his roll of parchment towards him so as to reread what he had written. Harry stopped in front of the desk and gazed down at his 15-year-old father. Whoa! No way! Cool. I guess if his father speaks, give me some adjectives for him. Or I can just do the voice I've had for him before. But, yeah. Excitement exploded in the pit of his stomach. It was as though he was looking at himself, but with deliberate mistakes. James' eyes were hazel. His nose was slightly longer than Harry's, and there was no scar on his forehead. But they had the same thin face, same mouth, same eyebrows. James's hair stuck up at the back exactly as Harry's did. His hands could have been Harry's, and Harry could tell that, when James stood up, they would be within an inch of each other's in height. James yawned hugely and rumpled up his hair, making it even messier than it had been. Then, with a glance towards Professor Flitwick, he turned in his seat and grinned at a boy sitting 4 seats behind him. His dad is cocky, cool, confident. Sure, cool, okay, cool. With another shock of excitement. Oh, man. How long does this dream go for? I won't be able to read this whole dream because I need to go. I'm invited to some friends for dinner. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to stop there. Sorry about that. I know I want to keep on reading too, but I cannot today. Okay, this is cool. We at least we got introduced to James' father. We can have a little. Oh, it's long. Okay, yeah. Okay, so it's good that we'll end it here. 3 more minutes. That's how long the dream goes for. So just up to 7 p.m. Okay. Well, Harry's always had courage, right? So doing something like this is not outside of Harry's playing field. He always does a thing he's not supposed to by authority. He's always... Well, he was raised being put down by authority. So no wonder he rebels against it. It was a very cool episode. Thank you for your epic song. Which song do you mean? Oh, the Fox song. You need a premonition? Well, what kind of premonition? I don't know what the premonition is. What are we premonitioning about? It's so sad you have to cut. Still a good catch for a first live. Oh, Katya, first live. Welcome, Katya. Welcome to your first live. And I think it was you. Who said that you had a birthday that we missed out on. So here's a personalized birthday song. Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you! Really good song. Really good song. Can Dexter watch the TV? It would be great to see his reaction to the movies. I mean, sure, but he's a dog. He's a dog. He'll just be lying there. Premonition about we will see in the memory. I don't have enough information about this to make a premonition yet. It's just been introduced that they're in the same place. Well, okay, here's a very short premonition. Here's a very short premonition. Didn't in the previous books they said, Snape Didn't Snape almost die because of these dudes? And I think what they were talking about before, that's what's going to be happening this part. Is that Snape's almost going to die, I think? Oh, I can't remember. What was the thing that they mentioned in previous books? The bad thing that happened to Snape and why he's pissed off at them. I'm going to have to reread that. Or somebody can just tell me what that was without ruining anything coming up. Just what was mentioned. Are you going to watch Harry Potter films after reading the books? Yes, I am. I will indeed. I am going to do that. Don't force the premonition. You'll get one wrong. No, that never happens. Never happens. I trust my own future abilities. The echo of the premonition song is perfect. So you're still hearing an echo. Oh well. Are you going to start reading at the beginning of the series once you finish? No, I will not. I will read a different book or a different series. John, remembering something of the other books? I'm so proud. Thanks, Dad. Thank you, Dad. Okay, I'm going to log off here now because I got to run. But thanks for logging in again. Much love to Mark if you're still watching. Thanks for... he's going to be on the road tomorrow. Thanks everybody logging in and joining for these. It's a lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun. And I will now open up the window and let the light in. See you later. Have a good night. You are loved. You have value. You have meaning.